Joining us is community activist Dereleen James. Dereleen, thank you so much for making time for us this afternoon. What do you understand to have transpired in this attack at church on Friday?
You know what, Clement, I'm still trying to make sense of this attack. It has really struck us, and we are just outraged by the brazenness and the brutality in all of this. I think the fact that a video surfaced from social media actually showing the last moments of Pastor Dwayne has left us speechless. I mean, like I'm saying, I cannot understand how people can just walk into a church where there's so many people and just decide to take the lives of and start shooting and to take the life of someone in the view of so many members just sitting there. So I'm at a loss for words. I'm not even sure what to say.
Mm. And as you say, these attacks are becoming more brazen by the day. The criminals seem unhinged and not scared at all.
Well, if you're living in a country where no one gets held accountable for their actions, obviously right now it's free for all. I mean, one used to think that when you walk the streets late at night, that would sort of expose you to a certain element of risk. But right now we are actually fearing for our lives by the mere thought of, am I actually safe to go to a church? And that just shows that, the government, the police, they have totally lost the fight when it comes to crime in South Africa and in our communities. I've said it before that we are on our own. We have to look at ways of protecting ourselves. Actually now getting security at our churches, it has come to that.
Jeez. And do you think there's something churches need to do to somehow avoid being vulnerable to these attacks? Because this is not the first kind of an attack we see in a church.
No, it's not. After this has happened, I actually received reports from so many people saying that this happened in, I think, Eden Park a couple of weeks ago as well. We've heard many reports of churches being under attack. I spoke to a pastor yesterday and he said to me, they have actually put measures in place where they don't allow people in church after a certain time. Once the service has started, the gates closed. They have people sitting in church that's armed, ready to protect the congregants. They have security all around the building. So that's where we're at. And it is just so sad, just to hone in on the incident that happened in Newlands. It is actually so sad that when you have these incidents happening to your high-profile people, we find that there are task teams that are deployed and mandated to find these killers within 72 hours. Why aren't we seeing the same happening for a man of God that was gunned down, a senseless killing? I think the video footage that surfaced, warrants that sort of response from SAPS.
And how is the law enforcement in the areas where these attacks are so regular?
Again, I have said it, law enforcement is there, but do they actually understand the modus operandi? Have they actually gathered the intelligence in these communities to make informed decisions when it comes to policing? We cannot just have members on the ground without actually understanding, how these crimes are unfolding, who's actually behind it. Is it being, are they linking dockets? What is actually happening in our areas? We just see that in Western Cape. Just last week, the minister was in the Western Cape, and I'm currently here, where 130 people, 130 murders, just within 1 week. We see the same happening in Gauteng, in areas, hard-hit areas such as Eldorado Park and such as Westbury. And to be quite honest with you, Clement, at this point, I feel like people have just said, this government has said, because they colored people, let them just wipe each other out. And because they're all involved in allegedly these gangs and drugs, we don't care. Because it cannot be that one sort of raises these issues for so many years and still we find this happening.
What do you think then is going to take for this level of crime to be dealt with? You and I have had conversations about the kind of summits, the dialogues that have happened in areas like Eldorado Park, where presidents have come there, senior law enforcement officers have come there. They come with strategies, and they're making promises on how they're going to be rooting out these levels of criminality, but then nothing really changes.
I think it's evident that the current, and I've said it, the current government they are unable to serve and protect and to fulfill their mandate in terms of protecting us as citizens within our communities. It's going to take, number one, a change of leadership. The leadership is just not, effective. The leadership does not understand what is happening on the ground. It is going to take a bottom-up approach, to understand the realities and the dynamics of these different communities. It is not just going to take a plan that speaks to policing. It is going to take all sectors, all 21 departments that's responsible. I always say this for the implementation of the National Drug Master Plan. If you look at why we have these high rates and levels of crime in our country, it is as a result of poverty. It is as a result of unemployment. There are so many things that contributes to it. So, the conversations that needs to be held with people that are obviously in these various spaces, the various departments, and everyone needs to come on board. It's unfortunately not going to be an overnight success, because we've been left to our own demise for so many years. So it's going to take time. It is going to take a new government. It is going to take fresh leadership that actually has the will to sort of reinforce the law, the rule of law in this country.
Yeah. Dereleen James, thank you for joining us today.